Wait, what do you mean the yandere isn't the worst thing in this story? Oh god!
Act 1. Homecoming. Me, New York City. Dark storm clouds roll over the concrete jungle that is New York City, rain pouring down in unrelenting sheets. A few people hurry to take cover. Others hold their briefcases or coats over their heads to avoid getting completely drenched. A vain effort on their part. 1 minute of getting caught in this weather, unprepared, and you're doomed. Unlike everyone else, you've embraced your fate. You're too exhausted to run, and the bear costume you're sporting is bogging you down thanks to all the water it's absorbing. Every time you try to lift one of your legs, you feel like you've got lead weighing down on your insoles. Any extra cardio will probably cause you to topple over. And like a turtle that's fallen on its shell, you too will be fucked and unable to get up if that happens. You regret not changing out of your work clothes. But what can you do? This is the result caused by your own lack of forethought. The consequences of my actions. You mutter to yourself, earning strange looks from other pedestrians. Not that you can blame them. You're the crazy person walking around in a bear suit late at night, talking to themselves. Anyone would suspect you're up to something shady. Not to mention, this costume has deep pockets, perfect for concealing knives, as they are for hoarding goodies. You may have snagged a few things from the snack table while the director was shouting at someone and had his back turned. You kinda went overboard, but you don't regret it. You pat your sides, admiring your haul. Another night of instant noodles and you would have lost what little sanity you have left. At least now you'll have some equally unhealthy alternatives to choose from, rather than choking down the same noodles again. Not to mention, I can make rent time this month. It's a benefit of abusing the freebie system at your job. Not that you hate it or anything. You're just doing your best to survive while using the few resources you have. You never really expected to leave Maple Weather, an idyllic town with quaint shops and a tight-knit community. The residents usually carve lives for themselves in the fields or by taking over their parent-owned shops, raising their own children to keep up the age-old tradition. People who were born in Maple Weather don't usually leave. They live and they die there. That's just how it is. Anyone looking for more becomes an outsider. It's why you didn't question the status quo until you returned home from your graduation party and found the entirety of your life stuffed into moving boxes. They sat stacked neatly on the curb, one box on top of the other like tiny skyscrapers. Your parents had also gone through the effort of changing the locks. So you did what anyone would. You panicked, cried, realized you were shit out of luck before you finally hurried to scrape together the meager savings from your bank account and headed straight for New York City. A lackluster smile finds its way to your lips. If only they could see me now. I've hit my peak in life. I'm a bear who wears and endorses deodorant for commercials. Truly an actor on my time, actress on my time, celebrity on my time. Celebrity. Self-deprecating jokes aside, you've done pretty well for yourself. Sure, you weren't famous, but you were never interested in furthering yourself in the entertainment industry or pursuing acting as a career in the first place. Being a background character suits you just fine. You're satisfied as long as you've got a roof over your head and a full belly. You can't ask for much else. You wouldn't dare to. You look down at your drenched bear suit and wince. Okay, well, maybe I could wish for some dry clothes. Lucky for you, you're almost home. Your apartment is just a straight shot past a large intersection ahead. A small crowd of people wait at the light. Sleek cars and taxicabs zip by, pumping out exhaust in their wake, only for the smoke to dissipate thanks to the rain. You shuffle your way towards the front of the crowd, careful not to step on anyone's toes. The last thing you need is someone screaming at you for scruffing up their Armani shoes and demanding you pay damages. You glance up once you stop just shy of a curb. Much better. Now you can at least see the light for yourself. As soon as the light turns green, you're booking it to your apartment and tearing off your bear suit. A nice, well-deserved nap will do you some good. You'll worry about dry cleaning your work uniform later. Maybe when the rain lets up. If the neighbors aren't locked in another screaming match, you'll consider today an all-round good one. You shift from foot to foot with growing impatience when a tall man wearing a hoodie steals your attention from across the way. Wait, is he staring at me? I mean, there's plenty to stare at. You glance around before returning your attention to him again. Yep, definitely staring. What's his deal? Upon closer inspection, he doesn't appear hostile, but rather oddly serene. Like he's a man at peace with himself. You squint, noticing he's mouthing words you can't quite make out. What's he trying to say? Does he wanna talk? Do you know him from somewhere? An amused smile tugs at his lips, and he shakes his head. You are so confused by the interaction that you're not paying attention to the way he steps off the curb and plunges himself right into oncoming traffic. Well, that's one way to get isekai. Okay. Like, very gentle screeching there. Their screams are hardly filtered through the paper-thin walls of your apartment. You put on some random live-tuber's gameplay channel in a poor effort to drown out the noise of a neighbor's marital spat. Clearly, it's not working. They're getting louder by the minute. Something about infidelity, something about being good for nothing. Something, threats of divorce. It's about 10 minutes, give or take. They'll follow up with some aggressive bed creaking, using their argument as a weird form of foreplay to get their engines revving. Whatever it takes to keep the magic alive, I guess. But marriage counseling also does wonders. You head into the kitchen to fill up a glass of water from the tap. You sigh as you hear the slam of a cupboard. It's not like you haven't brought up your concerns to the proper channels. The landlord brushed you off the first time you broached the subject, informing you they've been at this for years before sending you a link for noise-canceling headphones. So now you're forced to mind your own business. As long as they ain't killing each other, there's nothing you can do no matter how much you like to. Another price of living in the city. You try redirecting your focus by coming up with a mediocre meal using the snacks you nabbed earlier. Picking up a cracker, you steal a small bite before wincing at the sound. Following it up with a sip of water only worsens the effect. Memories of rain slicing through your lips brings you back 2 hours earlier. Damn it. You squeeze your eyes closed. You can still taste the tang of that man's blood on your lips. Metallic, sharp, and just as jarring when he stepped off the curb and into the path of an oncoming semi that finally tore his gaze away from yours. You stood there, shell-shocked, watching as his body flew a few feet away before hitting the pavement. The driver of the semi couldn't hit the brakes in time. Large, impressive tires rolled over the man's already contorted limbs. Bones snapped, crunching like tree branches torn off by the wind, his head caving in like the cracked shell of an egg with the yolk spilling over. You swallow hard at the memory, your stomach churning. You plant your glass on the kitchen countertop to keep from dropping it. Suicide. You just bore witness to a man committing suicide. The moment felt so surreal, so out of place that by the time the paramedics had arrived and collected his body, you had completely dissociated. You only snapped out of it after your neighbors started in on each other. You don't even remember stripping off your costume. One moment you were wearing it, and the next you were freshly showered and sporting a different set of clothes. Now here you are, your mind struggling to process a stranger's death while trying to figure out what to eat. Maybe I should skip dinner. Doing such a mundane thing in the face of death feels wrong. You're not sure you could stomach much anyway. Resigning yourself to the couch for the rest of the night, you sink into the cushions just in time to see the live tuber get jump-scared by a sock puppet. He falls out of his chair before his head pops up, his headphones askew. His antics manage to bring the ghost of a smile to your lips. Beautiful, mind-numbing content full of humor. Just what you need. You're about half an hour in, starting to doze off when your phone screen starts to light up. You retrieve it from the coffee table. What's your agent calling you so late at night for? You answer on the third ring. Lee? What's up? Did something happen? Lee responds with the cheer of a man who's caffeinated and eager to take on the world.
Hey, long time no talk. Just wanted to pop in a call for a real quick chat. Yeah, it's nothing bad, promise you. But do you have a minute?
Tension ebbs from your body at its reassurance. Okay. Good. That's good. I'm glad. And yeah, I've got time. There's a pause before Lee speaks, his tone lacking the earlier enthusiasm, now replaced with a touch of softness. Is everything okay? You don't sound like yourself. He's right. You sound beaten down and exhausted, even to your own ears. Where's those acting chops of yours? You clear your throat and try to put on the performance of a lifetime. He doesn't need to know what happened. And you'd really rather not recount the memory for fear of reliving it in greater detail. Just tired as all. Probably coming down with something. So, what you need? You said you needed to talk to me about something. Looking for you, Lee takes the bait. Right. So get this. I've landed you a potential gig. A big one. Wanted to gauge your interest. Another acting job. You scratch your cheek. I don't. I know. You mentioned you're thinking about leaving the entertainment industry, but I promise, this is something to write home about. And the best part? It's a long-term gig, meaning it's gonna be more than your average commercial. We're talking a real chance of stability here. Ain't that what you always wanted? This gives you genuine pause. A long-term acting job. Usually those get swept up by the big names, people with their foot already in the door and who've proven themselves. Not that your work is anything to sneeze at. You bust your ass to deliver on each and every project you've been a part of. Yeah, they're all mostly commercials, some of them only made for local businesses with no intention of broadcasting to an audience outside the city. But you put your all into it. What's the point of doing something if you're just gonna half-ass it? Your father used to say that while buried deep in someone else's engine before gesturing for a tool. A solid piece of advice, all things considered. It's gotten you where you are now. You're not sure it's where you want to stay. You draw your legs up to your chest, lost in thought. Listen, Lee says, carefully punctuating the silence. I'll understand if you say no. It's your decision, and I gotta respect that. But I can't lie and say I wouldn't appreciate it if you heard me out. So, tell me, friend, what's it gonna be? I'm hear him out. The choice isn't immediately obvious. You still take a few minutes to mull over the implications on what taking on such a big role could do to you. And you realize, well, there's a few cons. They don't outweigh any of the pros. For one thing, there's an opportunity for steady income. If this job is as stable as Lee says it is, then you can treat yourself to an actual meal for once. Since you moved out, it's been Sodium City. You won't need to smuggle food off set. You can pay your bills in time. And you might even earn just enough cash to put the extra in savings. As for the second reason, tell me something. Are they shooting within the city limits or an alternate destination? Can't remember the name of it. I have to look at my email again, but the side location is in a rural area. That cements the idea in your head. You could use a break from the city after the events of today. It's not always easy living here, and you sometimes miss your small town life where things felt simpler. A change of scenery would be good for you. Alright, Lee, I'll bite. Tell me a full scoop. His response is instant. You can practically feel him beaming as he pipes up. I just knew you would hear me out. You were always a go-getter. So, get this. He dips in a voice into a conspiratorial whisper, and you can't help but smile over the fact that he's treating this news like a juicy piece of gossip. Your agent is never boring, and it's one of the main reasons you enjoy his company. Apparently, there are some bigwigs who've gotten a series of novels to TV adaptations in the works. I'm talking bestsellers, top of the charts for months with each additional release kind of novels. They've got a good amount of source material, too. Do we know what genre? Not that it matters, but your interest is piqued. You manage to take a sip of water without wincing for the first time tonight. It doesn't remind you of Blood and Rain. A mystery thriller with supernatural elements and a touch of romance later on. And why this role in particular? What makes you sure I can get it? Yeah, that's the thing.
They approached me about you after seeing some of the work you done. They like your acting chops and wanted to see if you'd audition for one of the leading roles. You nearly dropped your glass. You did what now? I told you when we first met, didn't I? You got a spark about you, and you needed the right people to take notice. It's why I wanted to represent you. Your acting isn't that good. Is it? Are you sure this isn't a scam? Or that they didn't mix up someone else with... well, or that they didn't mix me up with someone else you're representing? You need to believe in yourself more. You got what it takes in this line of business. I know you're satisfied with what you have now, but it's okay to make goals for yourself and aim higher. I know, it's just surreal to hear. Not to mention, you were mostly doing this to put bread on the table. You don't have grandiose goals when it comes to entertainment industry, yet somehow you managed to stumble into a career that many fight tooth and nail for. No doubt, you've still got to audition for the role, but the fact that they're interested in you speaks volumes. You're not sure how he got here. Okay. Yeah, I'll go for it. You see at the same time Lee says, "Aha! Found it!" You blink at his sudden outburst. He gives a sheepish laugh, and you can imagine him scrubbing the back of his head. Sorry about that. It was driving me crazy when I couldn't remember the name of the town they're shooting in, so I looked it up while we were discussing the other details. Point is, found it. He then clears his throat before he speaks again. So, have you ever heard of a place called Mapleweather, Connecticut? 2 months later. Am I in Maple County? Mapleweather. Alright. Crystal clear skies and a gentle breeze greets you once you hit Mapleweather. You step off the bus and onto a narrow dirt road. The winding path made it impossible for the bus to navigate the lush wooded area. Thankfully, you don't have to travel too far on foot. Your destination is just a short walk ahead. You close your eyes and inhale the fresh, sweet scent of grass, of dirt and summer blooms. It's hard to believe you've returned. It's even harder to believe you've landed a role for a TV series. You still had to audition despite the initial interest, but somehow you managed to land the role and now you're here, back in your hometown once again. You're sure you'll see a lot of familiar faces in the coming weeks. The friends and family members who once meant everything to you are now born-again strangers. You haven't gotten into contact with them in ages. How will they react, knowing you've returned for a temporary stay? Only one way to find out. You take a deep, steadying breath before following the uneven terrain. Birds chirp from their nests high up in the trees, and you catch the sounds of running water from a creek nearby. So many summers were spent there. You remember vibrant red hair, bits of laughter, wet sneakers. You remember large, reliable hands pulling you out from the creek after you and your group of friends jumped in one after the other. You remember the lopsided smile of the boy who lived right across the street from you, the boy next door. Max Ackerman. Mikasa? Huh. Now that's a name you haven't thought about in ages. But you don't think about him for long when the wheel of your luggage accidentally snags on a rock. You mutter a curse before navigating around it. Several minutes of struggling later, you finally catch sight of the inn up ahead. According to Lee, the length of the production for a TV series typically spans over the course of a few months, so accommodations were made for your prolonged stay here. The Lanternfly Inn. What a place. Trust me when I say, you'll love it, friend. The name didn't ring any bells when Lee gave you the final details of your travel plan, so you Googled it. But the snapshots you saw on the homepage did not do the place justice. Lee was right. Before you sits a pretty cottagecore-inspired building. The architecture itself is gorgeous, with its cream-colored paneling that's dappled intermittently with windows and wooden shutters. Purposefully broken paving stones cut through the garden, running up to the wooden porch. A woman reads quietly in one of the rocking chairs. She doesn't seem at all bothered by the hammering originating from somewhere on the roof. You try to spot the individual, but you don't see them. Ah, so you finally made it, dear. The woman who was reading spots you. She wedges a bookmark between the ink-stained pages to mark her place before setting her book aside and drawing herself out of the chair. She reaches for a plastic cane resting against the wall.
You recognize her as the owner from one of the photos she posted online.
Pleasure to meet you. I'm Patricia. You can call me Patty.
Hi, Patty. Nice to meet you too. You take her proffered hand in greeting before she turns to peer up at the roof and calls out.
Dear, can you come down here for a moment? We've got another arrival and these old withered bones aren't what they used to be. They need their things brought to their room.
Oh, I can. She waves you off with a dismissive hand.
Nonsense. You're probably tired from your journey and he's a strong young man.
The hammering stops and you look up just in time to see a familiar face striding up to the edge of the roof as he tucks his hammer into the tool belt cinched at his waist. The sun outlines his form in a layer of gold. Max.
Whoa, he's really grown into himself. God damn those arms!
The last time we saw Max, he was scrawny, thanks to his superfast metabolism. A boy with all the awkward angles and ill-fitting clothes. Back then, you used to joke about how you could take him over the knee and snap him like a twig, but now, you'd just end up hurting yourself if you tried.
How much milk did this man drink to get this much muscle mass?
Sure thing, Mrs. Orchards. Just give me... Max cuts himself off mid-sentence when he notices you standing there. Your gaze meets. You lift your hand in greeting with a faint smile. Hey, long time no see. His lips part, clearly stunned by his sudden presence. He blinks a few times. When you don't disappear, he scrubs his eyes before leaning forward to get a better look. Tater Tot? Is that really you?
One of the towel breaks off and gives way, causing Max's leg to slip. You watch in abstract horror as he sent plummeting off the side of the roof before landing in a sea of flowers with a harsh, unforgiving thud. He lies completely motionless once he hits the ground. Was that a crack just now? Oh, God, not again. Not Max.
Horror sinks its teeth into the marrow of your bones. You don't want to get closer. You don't want to confirm or see the blood that's surely pooling around Max's head, painting the once beautiful garden in a violent red. How could this happen? In your best efforts to escape the memory of a stranger's death, you may have just bore witness to another.
Max!
Patty shuffles over to the fallen man. The air flits back into your lungs when he groans and responds.
Ow! My dignity! Oh! He's alive! Oh, thank God! You hurry to join them just in time for Max to sit up, rubbing the small of his back.
Are you okay? Probably. Some minor bruising, but I'll walk it off. He then seems to register that you're the one speaking to him, and he breaks out into a cheerful grin. Well, I'll be damned. It's you. What are you doing back in our neck of the woods? You didn't by any chance come just to visit me, did you? Patty taps him lightly with her cane.
You scared the tar out of us! What were you thinking, standing so close to the edge like that? You could have gotten seriously hurt, or even killed.
It'll take more than just a small fall like that to kill me, Mrs. Orchard. Yeah, I've taken worse dives while riding horses. Max pushes himself off the ground and dusts himself off before hooking his thumb into the pocket of his jeans. See? Perfectly fine. Just got some dirt on me that'll rub right out with a dollop of detergent. Patty takes a deep, centering breath, pinching the bridge of her nose.
Oh, stubborn like your father. Whatever will I do with the two of you?
Dunno, but I'm sure we'll find out. He gives her a grin that says this isn't the first time he's caused her to worry. You decide to interject. You should probably still ice your back as an extra precaution. That fall was nasty. Patty, you wouldn't happen to have any packages of frozen peas lying around, would you?
Oh, yeah. There's some in the freezer out back.
Max blanches.
Really, Tater Tot? That's the...
He lets out a yelp as soon as you quickly circle him and press the tip of your pointer finger into his back. Max looks sheepish as he peers over his shoulder at you. You raise a brow in return, holding up said finger. Yeah, I am not believing that for 1 minute. Now get moving, big guy. Max scrubs an arm across his forehead after hauling your luggage up to your room. His smile is vibrant as he turns to face you. So, what do you think?
Nice, right? You glance around. The inside of these 4 square walls is where you'll be staying for the next few months. Tucked into the corner of the room is a large king-size mattress with a thick cream-colored comforter and fluffed pillows, made for maximum comfort. Artificial plants are sprinkled throughout the room. A large dresser rests beneath the arched window, and you can see the garden from here. While beautiful, you feel nothing but agitation. What's that look, Tater Tot?
He damn well knows.
While you had your back turned and searched for a cold compress, he managed to swipe your belongings before you could stop him. He took 2 steps at a time while leaping up the stairs. By the time he turned around, he was already on the 2nd floor.
The sneaky little shit, always worrying about the well-being of others while completely foregoing his own.
It's just like him. Don't even bother explaining, simply choosing to point at the bed instead. Lay down and lift your shirt up. That's a bit forward, don't you think? You want me to poke you again? Either sit willingly or I'll wrangle you faster than Shelley did with that 600-pounder pig at the county fair. Max holds up his hands in surrender. He lowers his large body onto the bed, eating up a good portion of the space before obeying. You perch yourself along the edge of the mattress and take in the sight of his exposed skin, your observation more clinical than anything. No visible bruising, so that's good. You pull the hem of his shirt up a bit more just to double check, but smooth skin is all that greets you. Does such a large fall drop really not hurt him? Max stiffens when you accidentally brush the small of his back while you're lost in thought. Sorry, did I hurt you? The tips of his ears are dusted pink. No, just tickles. His hand rubs his spot where you touched him, his glove removed to reveal calloused fingers. Probably as a result of all the manual labor he does. He had a habit of helping all over the town while he was younger, and that clearly hasn't changed. While some part of you is glad that the kind, giving part of him still exists, all worries follow suit. Max never knew how to say no to someone in need. You're not pushing too far. Are you, Max? You swallow your concerns, deciding not to voice them aloud. Instead, you lower the frozen bag onto the back of his spine before placing your hands into your lap. Max turns his head towards you. He rests his cheek on the crook of his arm. Those warm, forest green eyes twinkle with good humor despite his flushed appearance. So, what's the diagnosis, Doc? Am I gonna make a full recovery? You want my honest professional opinion? Lay it on me. Yeah, I'm a big boy. You try not to smile, deciding to play along. We still need to run a few tests, but I'm afraid it's not looking good for you, Mr. Ackerman. By my calculations, you have a full 24 hours before your condition worsens and your body starts shutting down. Yeah, I suggest making funeral plans. Tell your loved ones goodbye. Do what you need before the time comes. A full 24 hours, huh? I could do a lot in that time. A lot of damage, you mean? Are you trying to say I'm a troublemaker, Tater Tot? Not exactly, but your clumsiness somehow always manages to get you into the worst predicaments. Name one time. Really? You're going to force me to pain? You're gonna force me to point out the obvious? Well, you don't have to. And I think using such a recent event is cheating, don't you? You're the one who asked me to give you an example. You didn't state specifics. Give me a pen and a paper. I'll outline them for you. Ugh, go and get them yourself if you're that determined. Aww, aren't you the one who said I needed to lie down and ice my back? Wouldn't doing that be going against doctor's orders? I'll rectify my mistake by axing the initial prescription and suggest the age-old method of going outside and rubbing some dirt on it. Maybe Shelley will let you roll around in one of her pig pens, free of charge. Is this your subtle way of telling me to eat shit? That's not very nice. What happened to our sweet old Tater Tot who would never think of implying such a thing? Boy, the city life sure changes people. Max heaves a dramatic sigh, setting aside the now defrosted bag of peas as he sits up and scooches closer to you on the bed. He knocks a playful knee against yours to show he's kidding. A wry smile tugs at your lips. You're the one who started calling me Tater Tot after a heated argument, saying I was always salty and short-tempered. You've never once called me sweet. Are you saying you want me to give you a new nickname? You stick your tongue out at him. How about you just refer to me by my actual name? Aw, but if I do that, how will people know you're important to me? His eyes are locked on your tongue, but dart away when he realizes you've taken notice. By expressing it the normal way? Giving pet names is a method of expressing it the normal way. You could tell he genuinely means that. You're surprised something as mundane as a nickname means this much to him. It still doesn't negate your next point. Yeah, but they don't usually stem from arguments. They're typically used as terms of endearment. I don't think that's always the case, but I can see your point. Alright then, what would you prefer instead? You know what? Keep the nickname. Never said I hated the nickname. Just wanted to point out a few key points relevant to the topic. In other words, you wanted to verbally banter me and didn't think I'd take your argument seriously? He's clearly amused by your admission. Or like I wanted to share my full unfiltered thoughts. Combative, he drawls, his tone light and teasing. You were joking until you started taking me seriously near the end there. You tease back. You're caught off guard when his gaze softens into complete and utter sincerity as he leans closer to you. His warm breath dusts your cheeks. He smells of mint and summer, of nostalgia and safety, of the home you thought you'd all but forgotten. You didn't realize how close you were sitting until his fingers brushed against yours, his touch kind and lacking the weight of expectation. It's because I never wanted to make you uncomfortable where I can help it. So, if you say no, I won't do it. If you want me to stop, I'll stop. And if you want me to stop touching you like how I'm doing right now, then tell me. A knock sounds at the door, interrupting the moment. Max swiftly gets up to go answer it, beating you to the punch. He swings the door open, but you can't see a visitor since he's blocking the way with his towering frame. You crane your neck trying to get a glimpse. The floral print dress gives her identity away before Max does. Fancy seeing you here, Mrs. Orchards. Do you need something? Yes, dear. Now please move so I can speak with my guest. Right. Sorry about that. He steps aside so she can step foot into the room, her previous cane swapped out for a wooden one. There's intricate detailing carved along the shaft, showcasing the life cycle of a lanternfly from when they're eggs to grown adults. You wonder who made it. Hey, Patty. What's up? Hello, dear. I just wanted to drop by to see how you were settling in and if the room was to your liking. The room is perfect. Thanks again for letting me stay here. Patty waves you off. Oh, nonsense. The production company foots the bill. There's nothing to thank me for. I'm just providing my property and getting paid as a result. Production company? Right, you never got around to telling him why you're here. Staying in town for a couple of months. I got hired on for a part in a TV series and we're shooting the first season in Maple Weather. So, you didn't... He trails off before scrubbing the back of his neck and glancing away. Oh. You catch a flicker of sadness. His shift in behavior leaves you waist deep in confusion. Patty gently whacks his kneecaps over Kane, pulling him out of his peculiar mood. I freaking love Patty. Oh, shameless boy! Don't just stand there. Congratulate them. Yeah, of course. Max clears his throat before shooting you a lopsided grin, masking his initial dejection. Congratulations on getting the role. I'm happy for you and all that you managed to accomplish on your own. I know you'll go on to do great things, Tater-Tot. I'm sure of it. The sentiment came off as empty, hollow. A superficial attempt at praise to satisfy Patty's request and tell you what you wanted to hear. But you know better. Because you know him. What's he hiding? Why did he look so heartbroken just now? You're given no time to speculate when Patty draws your attention back to her as she gestures towards Max. I did come here for another reason. Since this town doesn't offer taxi or rental cars, guests without proper transportation will be ported around by one of the townsfolk who volunteered their services. Max is one of those volunteers. I'm certain that, since you're already so well acquainted, he'd love to take over the position." She gives Max a knowing side-eye as she drops her hand. Max rocks at the back of his boots, under her scrutiny, hooking his thumbs through his belt loops. He's still avoiding her gaze, but keeps his tone light. "Yep, just think of me as your personal chauffeur. I'll take you anywhere you want to go within town limits." "So, no spur-of-the-moment road trips?" "I'd turn into a pumpkin as soon as I hit the outskirts of town, so yeah, I'm afraid not. You have to take a bus if you want to go back into the city. Other than that, I'm all yours. I can even roleplay as a tour guide and point out all the hotspots here in Maple Weather if you want a full tourist experience. We could make it as an excuse to catch up. Maybe stop and grab something to eat or visit the creek. If that doesn't work for you." His eyes meet yours, and despite his best efforts to hide it, you can see that profound sadness again. The one that completely kills the light in his eyes. "Then, that's okay too. We can keep things professional, or we can find you a different volunteer. Whatever you want to do, I'm on board." He examines the toe of his boot like it's the most fascinating thing in the world, like he's trying to avoid your gaze for fear of pressuring you. It's clear he wants to spend time with you. But for some odd reason, he seems to think you might not feel the same way. Why would he assume that? You don't understand where his insecurity comes from, why it came out of seemingly nowhere, or why he's trying to hide it in the first place, but... Wait, no, that's not right. You briefly close your eyes and mentally shake your head. You know exactly why he's doing it. You open your eyes again to catch Max stealing glances at you. He stops when he sees you've taken notice. His cheeks pinken and he scrubs the back of his neck, looking extremely guilty over being caught. It makes you wish he'd be more honest with himself. Be more honest with you. Max never voices the thoughts he deems either selfish or with the potential to create conflict out loud. This is true, especially when it comes to you. So whatever he's hiding, you don't doubt he's doing it because he thinks it's in your best interest. But what Max doesn't realize is that it's something that's always nagged at you for the entire duration of your friendship. One of these days, though, you promise both him and yourself, I'm going to get you to open up. Because you're stubborn and Max is your best friend and it doesn't matter how long it's been. You care for him deeply. Well, you say as you close the distance between you and Max, right up until he's forced to meet your gaze due to your proximity. You smile at him. If it's alright with you and if you're feeling okay enough, I'd love to visit old haunts with my best friend. Lead the way, big guy. Sorry about the lack of air conditioning, Max says as he reaches across the center console in order to roll down your window and let the fresh summer breeze in. He then checks your seatbelt before turning the key over. The engine wakes with a choked cough before smoothing out into a less anxiety-inducing purr. Max places his hand on the gear shift as he backs out. Every time I get one thing fixed, another breaks down. My truck's a trooper, though. Well, it may have a few new quirks since our last stint together. I promise. It'll get us to where we need to go. I'd like to believe you, but... He plucked his toolbox off the ground and root around. There's an assortment of wrenches, screwdrivers, pliers, and utility knives that are slightly rusted from age. You pick up a pair of pliers at random and scrape your fingernail along red-brown flecks, scratching them off and watch as they drift to the ground. On the off chance your truck does give out, I'm asking you as my new chariot for compensation. That's my one non-negotiable. You examine your work before wincing, realizing how much more rust is left. It reminds you so much of dried blood, of how it would look when it's fresh and diluted by the rain. You return the toolbox to the designated spot next to your feet and catch Max smiling at you with amusement out the corner of his eye. You just want an excuse to turn me into a horse and put a saddle on me, don't you? You said it, not me. Well, then we'll make a pit stop and the feed store to pick up a few supplies. You're way too committed to the bit. I aim to please. Max shoots you a lopsided grin full of humor as he drives down the winding dirt road that leads back out onto the main road, branches whipping against the windshield. The road ahead is bumpy and full of potholes, but the atmosphere in the truck is light, playful. Despite the initial awkwardness back at the end, whatever was troubling Max has disappeared. You're relieved. You forgot how much you enjoyed his company, and the idea of hurting him in any capacity bothers you. You still don't know what caused his initial reaction or when you'll find an opportunity to breach the subject in the near future, but you're glad he's feeling better. You lean back in your seat and take in the scent of maplewood trees and sweet-scented grass. Nostalgia hits you like a brick. You realize you miss this. You forgot the ease of being with someone who's known you your whole life while enjoying a simple drive. Sure, there's benefits to living in the city. New York offers anonymity and everyone minds their own business, but with it comes isolation, loneliness. There's no sense of community, and it's impossible to make long-term friendships or truly connect with anyone. Coming back here feels like you've never left, like you've stepped inside of a time capsule where everything and everyone is the same they always were. Of course, you eye Max through your peripheral. With a few outward changes here and there, Max starts pointing out familiar landmarks once you hit the town center, which acts as the central shopping district. You start cracking up when he points to a random patch of grass in front of City Hall. You already know what he's going to say before he says it. And over here is where I slather myself in peanut butter because someone had the bright idea of collecting fire ants for an ant farm. Yeah, you. That was you. I was more of a mere bystander minding their own business. You were the one who suggested using myself as live bait for covering myself in peanut butter. Okay, for one, I suggested jelly, the complementary condiment to peanut butter. And two, that was Avery Barnes who suggested you slather it all over yourself like suntan lotion, not me. So I may have misremembered. But that was probably due to the trauma of being abandoned by my best friend in my time of need. He gives you a pointed look. You throw up your hands in mock exasperation. You were crying, and I was running to get bug bite medication. Excuse me for trying to run and get help. I think you just saw my grandpa walk out of town hall and ran because you were afraid of getting in trouble. I see right through your lies, Tater Tot. Again, that was Avery Barnes. You can ask Dr. West. I ran straight to his practice. I'm innocent. Uh-huh. Likely story. Max purses his lips in an effort to hide the fact that they're twitching at the corners. He's clearly trying not to laugh. Just like him to egg you on no matter how much time has passed. The stinker! You huff and brace your hand on the door handle. I'm starting to regret accepting the tour guide package. I think I changed my mind. I want out. Max immediately hits the button for the truck's central locking system without even taking his eyes off the road. Oh, would you fancy that? It would seem I've accidentally locked the doors. Looks like you're stuck with me. You know, if you were anyone else, I'd start screaming stranger danger and start banging at the windows. His expression softens. You know I never hurt you, Tater Tot. As for giving you a hard time. He unlocks the doors as he goes to parallel park in front of a decrepit-looking building with boarded-up windows. On the left of the building is the market where most people in town get their groceries. And on the right is Ackerman's Hardware, a family-run business that Max planned on inheriting from his father after he graduated high school. Max shrugs. Well, that's up for debate. I know, which, again, is why I implied you're the only exception to that rule. I couldn't imagine you going out of your way to hurt someone. It's not even feasible to me. You shake your head as a mere thought. The Max you know would never do that. Not when he's always bent over backwards to offer help to anyone and everyone in need. Even to his own detriment. I don't know about that. Anyone is capable of becoming the worst versions of themselves under the right circumstances. Max taps the edge of his steering wheel, his gaze distant. Even me. This admission surprises you. Oh? And what would your circumstances be? The seemingly innocent question gives Max genuine pause. 1 minute of silence passes. Then 2. Sweat drips along the small of your back at 3. The summer heat pulses in time, like the ticking of the clock in the seconds leading up to 5, and you're left wondering if he's going to answer when he faces you. He drapes his arm along the back of the steering wheel, wearing that signature smile of his. But there's an air of seriousness surrounding it. Surrounding him. You're taken aback by this tonal shift. I'm afraid I couldn't tell you that. He then leans forward and taps your nose lightly with his finger. You blink. The brief moment of tension disappears so fast that you're left wondering if you imagined it. After all, gotta leave some mystery in our relationship so I can keep you guessing and coming back for more. Are you implying I don't know everything there is to know about you, Mr. Ackerman? You do not. I am a man of many secrets. I'm sure I'll learn about them later when I get a hold of the diary you hide in your nightstand. I'll have you know I found a better hiding spot. You'll never discover where. You put it between your box spring and mattress, didn't you? He looks at you with feigned exasperation. Can't a man have a safe space where he can explore his big feelings in private? In a small-ass town like Maple Weather, where entertainment is already so hard to come by and run-of-the-mill gossip is treated as the daily newsletter? Boy, I have some bad news for you. Don't tell me. I'd rather not hear it. You're only hurting yourself by avoiding the cold hard truth. I like being in denial. It's a preferred state of living for me. Helps keep the optimism alive. Gee, I couldn't tell. Max lets out a bark of laughter before shaking his head and shooting you yet another smile as he kills the engine. Just sit tight. I'll grab the door for you. He then slips out of the truck and raises the hood before opening the door and offering his hand to help you down. You don't even think about it. You take his hand as your own slides over his slightly rougher palm. His fingers curl over yours on reflex, his hold as considerate and thoughtful as the rest of him. He's careful not to grip you too tight. Easy does it. We don't want you falling, but I've got you if you do. His free hand goes to touch the center of your back to keep you stable, braced there to bring you into the protective encirclement of his arms if you stumble. You slide out of the car with relative ease, your shoes hitting the asphalt with a resounding click. You smile at Max. Ever the gentleman. Thank you for your service, kind sir. You are very welcome. He's still clasping your hand. Max? Are you gonna let me go, or... Oh, right. My bad. He's quick to release you, the tomato red of his cheeks practically blending his face into the scarlet red of his hair. He comes into an embarrassed fist before clearing his throat as he turns towards the direction of his hardware store, his voice like loose gravel. I wanted to make a pit stop by my loft before we head for the market, if that's okay with you. Your loft? We had the hardware store's attic converted into one a while ago. Figure I could use the space and independence rather than living with my pa for the rest of my life, and if I wanted to bring guests over. You could come with me or wait at the market where there's air conditioning if you prefer. I doubt Mr. Abernathy would mind, whichever's more comfortable for you. I'm gonna follow him to his loft. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Let me go with you. I want to check out this new humble abode of yours. You follow closely behind as Max goes to unlock the store using one of the keys on his keyring. He's collected a bunch over the years. You don't doubt some of them belong to other shops around the town. Everyone here trusts the local handyman. Max has never given anyone a reason to feel otherwise. I'll warn you ahead of time that I haven't gotten the chance to tidy up after work, Max says as he jiggles the lock. Summer's a pretty busy season for the shop and house calls. You'll probably need to watch your step. I'm not sure what all I have lying around. His hand freezes on the door handle, his eyes popping wide open. He turns to you in a panic and quick as a whip. You know what? On second thought, why don't, But his words fall on empty ears as you eagerly bypass him in your excitement, unaware of his obvious reluctance. Inside the hardware store, Dust motes float in the air like dwindling stars, caught in rotation as the breeze from opening the door stirs them to life. Rows upon rows are pegs and shelves, filled with useful power tools, building materials, housewares, you name it. The layout hasn't changed all that much. Even the front counter still has the stickers you and Max slapped on it, back from when you were still kids. A little splashy color, Max had said, back when he still wanted to become a famous artist. At this point in time, summer was nearing its end, with the beginning of the school year looming on the horizon. Your hand-me-down knapsack was already freshly packed and ready to go. You'd come to terms with the loss of your freedom. Max, however, was insisting on making the most out of it. You watched as Max smacked on another sticker, this one overlapping his previous edition. Mostly because there was nothing left to cover. Do you really think that's a good idea? Your dad's gonna yell at you, you know. Back then, you were used to Max getting into all sorts of trouble and dragging you along for the ride. Despite this, you still tried to act as the voice of reason. Emphasis on tried. Max smiled up at you from where he was kneeling, bright and joyful as the rising sun, his hair a mess of tangles. Nah, there's nothing to worry about. Dad puts bumper stickers on his cars all the time, so what's the difference? Max, those are car tags. They're supposed to go on license plates. And these aren't? Well, either way, I think he's gonna like them. You'll see. Here, why don't you add a few? He held out the package to you, wiggling it around with a toothy smile. You couldn't help but sigh. We are so getting in trouble for this. But that was half of the fun back then, so you plucked one of the stickers out of his hand at random. You were in the middle of applying your 12th sticker when... What in the Sam blazes are you two rascals doing? The little fuzz is here! Aboard! Aboard! Max then had the brilliant idea to barrel roll away from the scene of the crime and wound up knocking over you in the process as you tried hopping off the counter. You both wound up tangled in a heap of limbs. The jig was up, and the ensuing punishment Max's father dealt was swift. Looking back now, though, can't say you regret it. These stickers are a preservation of your friendship and youth set on full display. A moment captured in time, unlike any other. You forgot how spunky Max used to be. Your fingers dance along the countertop, and you smile as you head towards the back. Right up until something snags at your shirt. You turn and realize it's Max who's caught a hold of them, the fabric pinched between his thumb and forefinger. He's covered his flushed face with a gloved hand. He won't look you in the eyes. Can you give me a minute before you come upstairs? There's something I need to take care of. Why's that? You got more secrets lying around? You're teasing him, but he doesn't rise to the bait like usual. He keeps quiet. His grip on your shirt tightens. You soften at the sight. You're that worried about it? It's just, not something I'd rather share right now. You'll admit, you're curious about what he's hiding. But you'll be remiss if you go around disrespecting his boundaries like that. You pat his shoulder in reassurance. Okay, but just so you know, you're only getting 5 minutes. Use them wisely. He instantly relaxes, shaking his head with a smile. So charitable. 4 minutes, 45 seconds and counting. Max bolts into the back rooms before he can finish, and you hear the distinct thump of boots and, no doubt, leads to his loft. The floor creaks overhead as he shuffles around. You decide to make yourself useful while you wait. There's a box full of misplaced items needing to be restocked, sitting on the stool behind the cash register. You grab it and begin the methodical process of putting everything back in its proper place, glad you found something to occupy yourself with. Nails, spray paint, and wire cutters are the first thing to find their homes. Then the welding helmet, screws, and nuts and bolts. You're in the process of placing the last item, a quart of oil, onto the shelf when you spot movement in one of the rear view mirrors hanging from a peg in the same section. The mirror faces the storefront window at an angle, and you catch a glimpse of someone walking past. Although,
skipping is the more accurate descriptor. They swing their arms in wide arcs as far as they can go without dislocating their shoulders. Their movement is far from fluid. You find it rather clumsy and all too quick in comparison to the stiffness in their legs as they bring their knees to the same level as their chest with each hop. Almost like they're not sure how to operate their limbs. You assume it's a kid messing around. It's not uncommon for busy parents to let their restless children run around the shopping center. But you realize your mistake as they pass by the door. They're tall. Far too tall to belong to the height of a child. You also notice that they're wearing a bear mask that harbors an uncanny resemblance to the one you wore for your commercial shoots. Only, this one looks older, as if worn from time. Is this a... Wait, is this a Five Nights at Freddy's situation? Instead of soft, light brown fur, this one is tinted the color of mildew. There's a tear in one of the eyes, probably about the length of your thumb. But worst of all are the eyes. Human, glossy, bloodshot. It takes you a moment to realize they're humming. The sound is low and muffled, but you can still make out the lyrics of their impromptu melody. Oh, teddy bear, you've lost your way. Now your fur is almost rotting away. And the stuffing, you're dragging it along. Oh, teddy bear, which way have you gone?
Oh my god, it's still going! Your fur is all wrong! The stuffing! You'll have none left before dawn! Oh, teddy bear! Oh, sweet, silly teddy bear! This is where we have to say so long.
You recognize the tune. It's the same one that you used to skip around while wearing that same exact bear mask on set.
In which way? The creepy way? Or the goofy way? Because I don't know which way.
They turned it into a nursery rhyme instead of a jingle. Your hands begin to tremble. Oh, so creepy nursery rhyme then. Fear threatens to consume you, your breathing becoming labored and unnatural. No. You swallow hard and tighten your grip on the box, using it as an anchor to quell the tremors. Are they one of the locals?
Maybe they're a fan!
Perhaps there's an event going on that I don't know about.
Maybe they're a fan!
But the idea seems both like a stretch and the worst of the three.
What kind of fan would do something like this?
The only thing you can think of are the ones you hear about on true crime podcasts.
Are they one of the locals? Maybe they're local.
No one capable of pulling such a weird or creepy stunt comes to mind. They'd sooner be admonished by the townsfolk.
Maybe there's an event going on.
It's most feasible, but they don't hold any cons in this area. And no travel buses would bring them here as a pit stop. Wouldn't make sense. Each time you debunk a possible justification for their odd behavior, the more your inner dread builds.
It's fine.
Whatever the reason, as long as they don't notice you and go on their merry way,
it doesn't involve you. They might not even mean any harm.
But their mimicry of your commercial says otherwise. You anxiously watch, silently encouraging them to keep moving. They're almost out of sight when they hit the end of the storefront window, and his shoulders start to loosen just a fraction when they go completely and utterly still. You stop breathing. Their foot hovers in the air, toes pointed outward, before lowering their sneaker to the ground. The movement itself is slow, jerky, a sharp contrast from how they acted 2 seconds earlier. The head takes in your direction, like a broken wind-up doll turning its head. They examine you, waiting
for a possible reaction. You refuse to give them one or give the hint that you've taken notice of them. They pivot with slow exaggeration before pressing themselves up against the window, peering inside while looking right to left before refocusing their attention on you. They bring their hand up and slightly lift their mask. You presume they're going to take it up. Instead, they blow a puff of air onto the window, fogging it up. You squint as they bring up their pointer finger. They're writing something. I know you're watching me.
No, I'm not. I mean, yes, I am, but not for the reason you think.
Oh, that's nice. Your entire body goes cold as they wipe away the words and repeat their process of fogging up the window. Better question is, are they hot? Are they like Brahms hot? Like, I need to know. Is he Brahms hot? I want to know. Want to play with me? I promise. I'm more fun than your friend. Heart. When's the last time you checked on him? Anyway.
How do they know someone else is here with you?
Wait.
You suck in a harsh breath and your head jerks towards the ceiling with gnawing horror.
You don't hear Max's footsteps anymore. Not even a creak.
You drop your chin and finally spin towards the window.
But the stranger is gone, leaving one last smiley face in their wake, with the eyes X'd out. You hurry to check the locks. Rattle. Rattle. Thankfully, Max must have locked them after you entered.
With that concern out of your way, you head towards the back, rushing up the creaky wooden staircase. You burst through the loft door without warning. You stumble in your panic as one of your shoes catches onto the wooden flooring. One of the panels slipped a centimeter higher than the others. By some miracle, you manage to catch yourself. Max! Max!
Your eyes do a quick scan of the surrounding area. There's a coffee-colored couch with a matching tea table in the dead center of the living room. Crumpled up papers litter the surrounding floor, scribbled with measurements for woodworking. Plans as an abandoned easel sits tucked into a far-away corner. Max's bedroom and bathroom are a straight shot from where you're standing, and a quick peek tells you that he's not here. Where is he? The image of the stranger in the bear mask standing over Max's corpse flashes through your mind. Your breath comes quicker as you rush back down the steps, desperate to confirm that he's okay, desperate to find him when your body slams into the hard form of another. The owner of said body lets out a grunt on impact.
Whoa! Easy there, Tater Tot.
Max steadies you by grabbing your shoulders. Is everything okay? Your eyes are looking a little red. You clutch the front of his shirt as if to ground yourself while launching rapid-fire questions at him.
Where were you? There was someone. They asked when I saw you last, and...
Hey, calm down. Deep breaths. One thing at a time, alright? A person, someone strange was loitering. They were loitering around the storefront. They were skipping around wearing a bear mask. Then they saw me and asked me through the written messages weird shit like if I wanted to play and asked when was the last time I heard you upstairs was. You press a hand to your forehead. I couldn't find you, so I started to panic. Are you still out there? No, they disappeared. I checked to make sure they were gone and that the front door was locked before looking for you. Where were you? I heard a weird noise coming from outside in the back, so went to check it out. Alone? The area's fenced off, remember? And we've got the nasty wiring, so it's impossible to climb over. Right, his grandfather was a paranoid man. Despite the seemingly safe environment of a town like Mapleweather, Max's grandfather didn't trust anyone and took extra precautions to show it. So, with the person you just encountered, you're beginning to think he has the right idea. Did you find anything? Not really. He avoids your gaze while saying it. Why does it feel like he's hiding something from you?
No, that's not important right now.
I really think we should call someone. I know they'll probably dismiss it as a prank, but we should at least make a report.
We'll have to make one later. Right now, most everyone's in a town meeting.
That would explain the lack of people milling about. You're ruminating over the best course of action to take when you notice Max staring at the front door, while he thinks you're not paying attention. His lips are pressed into a tight line.
Oh no. You know that look. That's the look of a man preparing to do something stupid. Like me.
Max rarely gets angry enough to get physical. One rare such occurrence happened back in high school where a classmate got under his skin, resulting in him taking the first swing and getting suspended. He never spoke of what the guy said, so you don't doubt Max had a justifiable reason for doing what he did. But it still doesn't negate the fact that Max is no doubt going to get himself injured or worse if he gets impulsive. Max? He blinks like he's registering the fact that you're still standing here. His fists loosen. There's an unwinding of his shoulders, and you know what he's going to say before he says it. Why don't you go upstairs to relax for a bit? I need to check on something. He heads towards the front. You follow closely behind him, hot on his heels. Max? What exactly are you doing? Nothing. There's nothing you need to worry about. Go upstairs, Tater Tot. You manage to circle him before throwing your arms down, using your body as a barrier to keep him from going any further. Oh, no, you don't. We stick together. Haven't you learned from horror movies that nothing good ever comes from splitting up? He cocks his head and gives you a slight smile. It doesn't reach his eyes. Are you saying you're worried about me? Why wouldn't I be? Some strange person's out there skulking about and you're charging in head first without considering the worst case scenario or what their intentions are? You're always foregoing your own safety for the sake of others. Of course I'm worried. Max appears like he wants to say something, but thinks better of it. Your brows furrow. There it is. It's that same look again. The same one he wore back at the inn when you said you were here for work. Max quickly conceals the emotions that your statement elicited and instead responds to your earlier comment. I think you got a few things mixed up, Tater Tot. I wouldn't do this for just anyone. I'm doing this because you're important to me. And I'd rather some creep not chase you out of town when you just got here. So please just let me take care of this. Well, the person you're doing this for would rather you not. I'll be fine. Look, I promise. I can take care of myself. Just one loop around the block. No big deal. And I promise, I'll be right behind you stepping on your heels. You are not coming with me. Cool, then neither of us are going. Glad we had this discussion. Don't you trust me? Trust has nothing to do with this. Don't even go there. You're really not gonna let me through, are you? You give him a dry look. No. I'm just standing around here T-posing for fun. Then you're really not gonna like what I'm about to do next. What? Max! One moment your feet are planted firmly on the ground, and the next, you're getting hauled over one of Max's shoulders like a bale of hay. Oopsie daisy, Max says as he marches straight towards the back. What the actual hell? He struggled to break free from his hold, but his muscled arms refused to budge. He doesn't even break a sweat from how much you're thrashing around. What does he do? Deadlift cows in the spare time? Max goes on as though this is a normal interaction. I've got sodas, water, beer in the fridge. There's a few things you can cobble together to make a sandwich if you're hungry. If you need to use the bathroom, you'll need to hold down the lever or it won't flush all the way. Let's see, what else? You are going to kill him! If that vaguely threatening stranger doesn't, then you're actually going to shake him around like a rag doll. Not with your hands, but with your teeth! Those are some violent thoughts. You may have also spoken aloud. Max plops you right at the entrance of his loft. Oh god, his body moves faster than the speed of light because as soon as he puts you down, you gun for the door to keep him from closing it. But you're too late as Max retreats a single step and seals the door shut. You tried rattling at the doorknob. You can tell Max must be holding it from the other side as you can hear him messing around. Max, open the damn door!
What's the password? This is not funny. Open the door before I kick your ass. Ooh. Sorry. Trick question. There's no secret password. Now sit tight. I'll see you in a bit. You pound harder at the wood before throwing your full weight against the door. Max? Max? Let me out of here! You hear him whistling to himself and the thump of his boots on the staircase as he heads downstairs. The whistling fades as you can hear a soft jingle from the front door of the store, opening and closing, leaving you stuck until he returns. If he returns. You're trying not to be pessimistic, but that stranger from earlier set off major warning bells. Because they knew you, or at least knew of you. They'd known Max was with you. They'd even gone as far as copying the costume you wore for your commercials and then rewrote the jingle about a bear winding up gutted after getting lost. It felt like a threat. And now, Max was walking straight towards the person who made it. You pull out your cell phone, trying to dial Max's old number, something you thankfully remember by heart even after all this time. But to your horror, the line never picks up. For some reason, in this tiny makeshift apartment, there's no signal. You can't make any outgoing calls. Okay, so he left me behind with no signal, and if Winnie the Pooh breaks in with the intent to murder me, I'm shit out of luck. Also, major heads up, by the way, you can use the name Winnie the Pooh. It is I believe the copyright has already expired, the trademark at least, so you can actually use Winnie the Pooh if you like. Also, Steamboat Willie. So yeah. Brilliant plan, Max. Love to see you think things through. You know you're being harsh, but he forcibly locked you in a room with no way out. But didn't you try blocking him from leaving? What's the difference between using your body and a door? The quiet voice inside of your head asks. You close your eyes and rest your forehead against the slab of wood barricading you inside. Because I wasn't trying to get myself killed. Maybe that's all the difference. You're not entirely angry because you're stuck here, though it doesn't help. You're angry because he's acting on an impulse to protect you, which is a detriment to himself and his own well-being if this person is as unhinged as they appear to be. He's throwing his life away for nothing. All because he thinks he can take care of everything on his own. Even when he fell off the roof, he brushed up both yours and Patty's concerns. Ugh, this is so frustrating. Your nails dig into the wood. What are you thinking out there? All by yourself. Okay. You're not sure how much time has passed since Max locked you up here. Quite a while considering, there's a red hue right now, unless this is my anxiety. Your arms are wrapped around your legs with your back pressed to a door after a failed attempt at pulling off the knob when you hear a familiar thump of boots. You go to stand up right as Max swings open the door. So, couldn't find any traces of him, but looks like they're no longer. Well, hey, where are you going? You push past Max and head down the staircase. You refuse to say anything or even look at him, your hands balled up into fists as you descend. Hold on now. Wait just a second. He follows after you and goes to grab your shoulder when you reach the middle of the store. You jerk away and responds. You have nothing to say to him right now. Please, just talk to me. There's a desperate plea in his voice. When you continue to walk away, you can hear him whisper something under his breath. Please, don't leave me again. You pause. You don't know if you heard him right. What was that? It's nothing. I said nothing. He's lying, and you turn to face him, watching as his gaze remains locked on the shelf off to the side. I just wanted you to talk to me, that's all. You scoff. And why should I when you don't listen? When my words seem to hold no value in the first place? But it wasn't that big of a deal for me. I'm fine, see? Well, lock me up for who knows how long, and the possibility of you getting hurt is a big deal to me. Like, when you fell off the roof, it's like you couldn't give a shit if you live or die. Why can't you just... You shake your head in frustration before spitting out the words. Why couldn't you just care about yourself more?
The words burst out of your chest, and they came out louder than intended. But you don't regret saying them. You admit that you love how Max deeply cares for others. But it also terrifies you due to the major lack of balance he has when it comes down to his own self-interest. Like, he'd destroy himself just to make others happy. The very thought rattles you, shakes you to your core. Max remains quiet for a moment before he angles his head to the side. Well, the answer to that is simple. An unsettling gleam flashes behind those familiar forest green eyes of his, a cold detachment sweeping just beneath the surface. You take a reflexive step back. Because I don't. If I die, doesn't really matter all that much to me. But when it comes to you, he shakes his head. I don't care about my own safety or well-being, that's a fact. But to me, as long as you're breathing, as long as you're safe, nothing else matters. Because if you weren't, he steps into you and brushes your cheek with the back of his knuckles as he bends down and turns his lips towards your ear. His voice is a gentle murmur. The world could not handle me or the thing that I've become. The air rushes out of your lungs at the intensity of his confession, a stark contrast to his soft and gentle touch. You swallow hard. For some reason, the memory of Max saying that anyone could become a monster under the right set of circumstances comes rushing back to you. Were you his reason? The thing that could tip him over the edge? Or is he just being dramatic? You genuinely couldn't tell. Or maybe you're hoping that's not the case. You're trying to calm the frantic and unsteady beat of your heart and turn your face slightly towards his. He's so close that you can see the flecks of gold in his irises, feel the body heat radiating off of him in waves. And what if that makes me uncomfortable? You ask, your voice quiet. I avoid doing most things that makes you uncomfortable where I can help it. But when it comes to your safety, that's my one non-negotiable. So, even if that means I have to do things that'll end up making you hate me, I'll do it. Whatever it takes. I'm going to do everything in my power to keep you safe. You realize how insane that sounds, right? You sound like the man in my fictional, dating sims. What the hell? Was he always this intense? You don't remember seeing this side of him before. But most of your days growing up were carefree and lacked any actual risk. Maybe he's right. Maybe there are things you don't know about him. I guess you could say it does. But if I ever have to see your dad... He cuts himself off, as though he's wary of sharing too much, and his gaze shudders. If anything were to happen to you, I know myself well enough to know I couldn't handle a world without you in it. And why do my feelings not matter if I ever have to see the same happen to you? Because it's clear. You can live without me. You balk. Is that what he really thinks? But yeah, the conviction in his voice portrays his honest feelings. Do you really not think I care about you? So much so I'd be fine if you died? He drags his gaze to the floor, and you can tell whatever he's thinking is linked to what he tried hiding from you back at the inn. The same tortured expression comes over him. Sorry. Shouldn't have said that. No, Max, tell me what you're really thinking. He shakes his head. He still won't look at you. I don't think that's a good idea. We should just take a breather for the night. Max, we'll run into the same cycle if we don't address it. No, you're already stressed. You've had a long day and you see that is the entire problem, you say, interrupting a stream of words. My wants over yours, my needs over yours, my feelings over yours, my life over yours. Max, I'm not uncomfortable because you want to keep me safe. Aside from the obvious and you locking me into a room to, quote, protect me, unquote, I'm uncomfortable because you're doing everything to the detriment of yourself and your own well-being. For once in your life, could you just do what you think is a selfish thing and tell me what's on your mind? Stop worrying about what I'll think. He shakes his head, taking a step back, but you refuse to let him fall into the same old habits. Because if he keeps going, he'll get himself killed. You grab onto his wrist. Not hard enough to hurt him, but enough to keep him from pulling away completely. Max, just talk to me. Please. He bites his lip. So hard, in fact, that you think he's about to break skin. He closes his eyes, opens them, looks everywhere. But you. You've never confronted him about this before. Never forced him to show his hand. But witnessing death and imagining it happening to your friend is a powerful thing. Especially when you know you can stop it. You won't sit idly by. With a stranger, you couldn't do anything. But with Max, you damn well know you can. So you wait. And you wait. Until finally, the pressure from your shared silence and the weight of your hand gets to him, and the dam that Max was holding in breaks. I know you can live without me, Max says, and his gaze collides with yours. His voice cracks. I know you can live without me because you never once came to visit Maple Weather after you left for the city. And when you do, it's for a job. Not to see me, not to see anyone. A job. Max lets out a quiet bark of self-deprecating laughter, like he can't believe he's admitting this. He scrubs a hand down his face before bulldozing on. And I get it. I really do. You deserve to have everything you've ever wanted. And I never want to take that away from you. But not even a call. Not even one goodbye. Not even a hint at where you were going or how I could get a hold of you after you left. I spent the entire day after graduation tearing the town apart in my search for you when none of my calls went through the next morning. I thought something happened to you. I was scared shitless and I couldn't take it. He hid. Kept going towards the worst case scenarios, figuring that you'd wound up injured or were in the hospital or were left for dead. I went near insane to find out through the grapevine that you up and left when your parents kicked you out. So then, I calmed myself. I waited for you to reach out. I figured you needed time to settle down. Time to gather your bearings. Adjust your new routine and your new way of life. It was understandable. But then days of waiting became weeks. Weeks became months. And time kept marching on. You never called. I forced myself to accept the reality of never hearing from you again. Never seeing your smile or hearing you laugh or feeling your anger or talking about your day or all the little moments that made my world just a little brighter. He tears a hand through his hair, his ponytail coming loose like a spool of thread unraveling. It looks like he's trying not to cry. You say I'm your best friend. You say you care about me. If that were true, then you would have contacted me. You would have given me something to work with. I'm not saying you had to. If you wanted to cut me off, then okay, I get it. Maybe I did something to warrant that reaction, that I needed to deal with the consequences. But now I'm struggling with the concept of you saying that you care about me when what you said and done are two wholly separate things. I genuinely can't make sense of it. Max, No. Don't. He shakes his head. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like you pity me. I'm not some childhood pet that you left behind, Tater Tot. I'm a man who's been sitting here in the wake of your absence, wondering what I did to push you away from me. Wondering what I did that didn't help you feel I was a safe enough space to communicate those feelings with me. The last thing I want from you is pity. You stand there, processing the truth of his feelings, his unfiltered honesty. You're putting your own grievances from earlier aside because he's finally opening up. From start to finish, ever since you were kids, he's been your best friend, and you want to work through this with him. You can address your own qualms later. Not to mention, He isn't entirely wrong. Not in this regard, anyway. Alright. Then what do you want, Max? No matter how selfish you might think it is, no matter how it affects me or anyone else. What do you want? His eyes go to your lips. They linger, and the intent behind the message is clear. His pupils become blown, swallowing up the whole of the iris. I mean it when I say, you really don't want me to act on those impulses.
You want him to act on his first impulse? You want him to kiss him? Yes?
Try me, you say, and lift your chin, forcing him to either fold or take what he wants. His eyes widen in response. His gaze searches yours, like he's waiting for you to tell him you're joking, his breath coming quicker when he realizes you're not. You can see his pulse thumping against his neck. You're sure about this? I know what I said, Max. Your words are a challenge as he enters your personal space, his hands rising to cup your cheeks. They tremble slightly, and his thumb brushes against the curve of your cheekbone, his Adam's apple bobbing as he swallows. His face draws near. It's not hard to tell that he's nervous. You can't help but notice the irony.
He's sure hesitant for a guy who talks big.
Tell me to stop right now, and I'll stop. You have my full permission right now.
So don't stop and just keep going.
Your gazes lock, and his thumb shifts, sweeping over your bottom lip as if entranced. Then he moves his thumb aside before finally brushing his lips over yours. Gentle and light. You shift closer to each other as you kiss, tentative and achingly slow. Uncertain, but curious. Max's hands slip from your cheeks to your waist, and your arms wind around his shoulders. A soft sigh slips out, and you feel Max go still upon hearing the sound, his eyes narrowing, those hands on your hips tightening. Something inside of him snaps. You laugh, gasping as the tentative kiss goes from gentle hesitance to a raging inferno when Max's muscular arms encircle you, pushing you backwards into a set of shelves. He's on you now. It's intense, borderline frantic and desperate. You laugh, gasping for air, as somehow you find yourself away from the shelves and your back flat on the counter.
The heck just happened? Your mind is swimming after that kiss. Max stands, leaning over you.
His hair tickles your cheek, and you blink at him, wondering what's going on, why he stopped kissing you. The veins that course along the lengths of Max's arm pops out as he tenses, the hands gripping your wrists, flexing with the movement. It's clear he's tried to restrain himself, so you don't understand why. What's wrong? Do you want to stop? Or maybe need was a better word from the looks of him. Max swallows hard as he shakes his head, clearly wanting more of you. He clears his throat and looks off to the side. I just need a minute. I didn't realize it would be like this. I feel like my head is spinning and I want this to be good for you. His eyes finally meet yours. Especially since it's you.
I didn't encourage you to be selfish, Max.
This is me being selfish. He admits with a soft chuckle. It sends a pleasant reverberation throughout your body. The thumb of his left hand gently circles at your pulse. Your blood sings in response. I guess I just thought I'd have more time to adjust since I've never done this before. Go on a few dates, share a few kisses in between, that sort of thing. So I could build myself up, prepare myself for when the time came. Never thought a first kiss would be this intense, or that you'd want to become physically intimate with me at all.
What did you think it would be like? Our first kiss,
Shy, soft, cute, maybe even a little bit clumsy. He shoots you a sheepish smile, all boyish charm. I, probably watched one too many romances based on that assumption. But, yeah, I'm still happy because I'm doing this with you. Max moves from your wrist to go trace one of the stickers on the countertop with his pointer finger, his lips curving into a nostalgic smile. You follow the path of his gaze. You know, I'm surprised how long these stickers have lasted. That's because I added a sealant on them. I asked my dad for help in order to apply it properly. Your dad was okay with that? Yeah, he figured taking them off would have been nothing short of a nightmare, and the tips of his ears turned a darker shade of red. I think he knew I had a huge crush on you, even back then. Wait, really? You sort of feel like the densest person on the planet for not noticing. Then again, you were focusing all your effort into school, helping your dad at his workshop, and doing fun things in your spare time. You weren't really thinking about romance. I figure it was obvious with the stunts I used to pull. He laughs to himself, and God, it's such an open and carefree expression. Almost like the sun is coming out for the very first time. It makes your heart ache, realizing you've never seen him look like this, like admitting he actually has feelings for you has lifted a weight off his shoulders. No doubt because he was worried it would ruin the friendship. It looks good on him. The ant farm was one of those attempts. I don't know why 9-year-old me thought making one would impress you. Kid logic, I guess. He shakes his head with an embarrassed laugh. And anyway, yeah, I had a huge crush on you, and I'm pretty sure he knew, given that you'd given these to me for my birthday. I wanted to keep them somehow, just didn't know the best way to go about it, so he agreed to help. He taps the sticker of a swan painted in watercolor, but all he can think of is the gesture itself. These were cheap stickers, sold at the dollar bin. He bought them on a whim, and Max likely had seen them before himself because there's not a lot of shops in town. He had to know they didn't cost much. And yet... Max. Huh? You said you thought our first kiss would be soft and sweet. Can I give you one of those now? You momentarily stunned the man. You could practically hear the dial-up noises going off in his head. Wait, I don't understand. What brought this on? Yeah, you don't have to understand. Just know that I want to. Is that okay with you? You sit up, resting your weight on your elbows as Max adjusts to give you enough room, his gaze searching yours. It's clear he doesn't understand where the sudden request came from, but he softens all the same. Of course, it's okay. You can kiss me, Tater Tot. Permission granted. You push yourself upright into a sitting position, your legs still dangling off the counter on either side of Max's waist. You go to cup his face, feeling the smooth curve of his flushed cheeks. The effect you have on him is instantaneous. He melts under your touch, nuzzles into your palm before kissing it with gentle reverence, his large hand folding over yours. Max squeezes the tips of your fingers, spots your expression and mistakes it for hesitance. Go ahead, Tater Tot, he murmurs with aching tenderness, pulling the strings of your heart taut. I'm ready. Just tell me when to stop. Okay? You say, right before you close the gap and sweep your lips against his, the kiss feather light. Max's fingers twitch. You can hear his quiet intake of breath. Then his hand squeezes yours again before he allows himself to fall in tandem. His eyes flutter close. He cradles you close to his chest, and it's the safest you've ever felt. Neither of you seek to reignite the blazing inferno from before, a fire meant only to devour and consume everything in its path. Instead, you both sink into the gentle warmth that managed to bloom in the wake of its ashes. When you finally part, Max rests his forehead against yours. He looks dazed, but utterly blown away. That was... He huffs out a breath before hitting you with a devastating smile. That was perfect. How are you feeling now? Have you calmed down enough to continue, or you trail off, wanting to know where his comfort lies? Would you hate me if I were to admit that kiss made me want to wait? No, wait, well, how come? You're not angry or upset, simply curious about his sudden change of heart. Maybe we should just leave it at that for tonight. Oh, come on, Max, you say, giving him a nudge of encouragement as he tries to fall back into his old habits. You know, if this was a slasher movie, I'm pretty sure, like, that teddy bear is probably waiting somewhere, like, for us to do the deed so that he could stab us right after. I'm pretty sure it would. Remember what I said earlier? No matter how selfish you may think it is, tell me what you want. Max rests his forehead against your shoulder. His arms are braced on the countertop, and you can tell he's battling with himself on whether or not to open up about it. You don't push him like you did earlier. He's opened up once tonight, and that was a pretty big step for him, all things considered. You're not even sure if you had a right to push him as far as you did, thanks to the points that he brought up earlier. But it does beg the question. What stopped you from contacting Max as soon as you left town? Did life really just get in the way? Or was there a solid reason? Every time I try to think about it, it's almost like Max distracts you from sorting your thoughts out by planting a single kiss against your neck, one of his hands moving to touch your waist. Max? You can hear him swallow. It sounds painful, almost like he's got a bed of nails stuck in his throat. Max, what's wrong? No. I know that if we have sex, I don't want it to be a one-time thing. I want a relationship. I want commitment. I want dates. He trails off as pulls his face away from your neck, his hand shifting from your hip down to your knee, like he can't help but find your comfort in your body, your presence. Like it anchors him to get through saying what he wants to say next. Tater tot. I want you. But I also want to do what feels right for me because I don't want to wake up one morning to find my sheets cold because you're not there and that you've left again. I need to know. I need to wake up with the knowledge that I'm not going to lose you again. Because if we cross all those lines, if I know what it's like to know you in the most physically intimate way you can know another person, I know my heart couldn't take it. It was already hard enough the first time with just my unrequited feelings. But losing myself in you would be like getting high from a drug that I'd end up searching for the rest of my life. If your heart's not in it. If we're not on the same page, that's fine. I just want you to know that's where my head is at. He trails off, leaving you with a lot to unpack and process. Did you want to be in a relationship with Max? You go to answer, where he presses his thumb against your lips to keep you from talking. He smiles with complete sincerity. Yeah, don't worry. Not looking for an answer right now. It wouldn't be fair to expect you to, given the day you've had, especially since you just got here. I want you to be able to choose me when you've given enough thought and time to think it over before you decide. I'd want this, he says as his hand moves to brush your cheek with the back of his knuckles. To have the best chance possible. The best start possible because I'd really like to keep you. At least, that's alright with you.
Talk about dropping lines that could make anyone swoon off this tabletop.
But you realize he's right. You shouldn't say yes or no on a whim, and it's best to consider everything he's just told you. Alright, Max. It'll take some time to give it some thought. He gives you a heart-stopping smile and moves to press a gentle kiss to your forehead. One that's full of sincerity, and what you can only describe as filled with adoration left completely unchecked. There is no doubt left in your mind. This man loves you. Thank you. He murmurs against your skin before drawing back again to help you down off the counter. Since we probably won't be able to get a hold of the authorities until tomorrow, maybe we should put a pause on our outing and exchange it for a day in. I can make you something upstairs. We could watch a movie. He coughs. Maybe cuddle? What was that? Just got a frog in my throat. So, what do you say? Well, you did say you wanted to catch up with him, and while this wasn't exactly what was planned, you decided to go with the flow. As long as you don't lock me up in your loft again. He has enough self-awareness to appear sheepish, so you doubt he regrets his decision. Gonna have to workshop that shit out of him. You'd rather be his equal and stand beside him than let him do all the heavy lifting. And you genuinely care enough about him that it makes you want to become stronger. Someone he can rely on and not have to worry about. Anything I could do to make it up to you? He rocks on his heels, threading his thumb through his belt loops. I'll think of a couple of things, Mr. Ackerman. Oh, so I've lost first name privileges? Damn right, you gotta earn that shit back. You say, as you both head past the counter, through the open door and towards the wooden staircase that creaks with every step. Max barks out a laugh, tossing his head back. You think I'm joking? He shakes his head as he follows behind you, his hand resting on the banister. His eyes glitter with both amusement and sincerity. Not at all, Tater Tot. I'll work on earning back your favor. That's what I thought. You're unable to hide your returning smile as you ascend the steps. Creak. Creak. Drip. Creak. Creak. Drip. Huh? What's that dripping noise? The sound gives you pause. You stop in your tracks, listening for a moment to discover that it sounds like it's coming from underneath the staircase. Is something wrong? No, I just kept hearing weird dripping sounds. Do you hear it? Max listens for it. Ugh, forgot about that. Just a leaky pipe. Don't pay it too much mind. I'm planning to fix it later when I get the chance. Alright, but if this is another ploy to trap me in your apartment via flooding, I'm using you as a floaty device. You resume your climb until you reach the top of the steps before turning to point threateningly at Max. No funny business. Max holds up his hand in mock surrender as he steps into the apartment. No funny business from now on. The door clicks shut behind him. I promise.
What the hell? Hello?
Drip. Drip.
Ah!
Drip. Drip. Colt Ackerman. City Hall in Maple Weather, Connecticut. Town meeting. An immense pressure builds between the bridge of his nose and his eyes. He tries pinching it to soothe the ache. Nothing helps. Are you alright there, Colt? Colt Ackerman, former owner of Ackerman Hardware and father to Max Ackerman, nods, despite the fact that he's not. He hasn't been ever since he went out into the woods. The damn foxers were getting into Neil's chicken coop again, so he figured he'd try warding them off with a few nasty cents to deter their antics. It was the most humane way he could think. Meanwhile, old Billy kept complaining they needed a gunshot between the eyes. Freaking Billy! But the point was, Colt refused and did things his own way. He'd start circling this long stretch of Neil's expansive property, about 12 acres before he'd seen it. A trail of blood. Spacks here and there that led Fox to fiercely believe Billy had taken it upon himself to shoot those foxes. He'd followed that trail, only to discover the horror from where the blood originated. No matter how many times he closes his eyes, he can still see it, smell it, choke on the stench of decaying flesh simmering underneath the heat of the summer sun. They died a terrible death. Their jaw was torn open, locked in an eternal scream with their eyes glazed over. 50 years. 50 years of peace, and now Colt blows out a steadying breath as the townsfolk argue about seemingly innocuous things. Which roads to fix, when they're holding the county fair, what fundraisers they're going to do for the schools next year. It's an endless stream before there's a click of dress shoes, not work boots, standing up to the podium. The mayor has arrived, and they sweep their gaze across the room as everyone quiets to a hush. Shelley appears taken by surprise. What the hell are they doing here? Did you know about this? Colt doesn't respond. It's not common for the town mayor to take part in these gatherings. Usually they're tucked away in their cozy office, but today they're here on his behalf and because of what he found and
what it means for them, for all of them.
I apologize for the sudden interruption, but I'm afraid there's something I must address.
They turn, and suddenly, the lights dim. An old projector had been set up and flashed to life. Oh shit. Behind Mayor Varick, it displays a photograph, the date written in the top right corner. Someone gags. Billy hollers obscenities. Neil stands up before sitting back down as if he doesn't know what to do with himself. Shelley winces and hisses through her teeth. Her husband, Dr. West, clasps a hand over his mouth, the scene far more brutal than likely anything he's ever witnessed within his own practice. And Colt. Colt remains unfazed, because he took the picture, knowing it was far worse in person. I come to you all today with solemn news. Earlier this morning, one of our very own found a body located on the outskirts of town. This body has not been identified yet, but thanks to its presence, we can confirm one crucial fact. They turn towards the crowd. Their eyes meet with each and every person in the room until they finally fall on Colt, who knows what they're going to say. Their jaw tightens as the words ooze from their lips like drainage from an infection. The next calling is upon us.
Oh. Well, darn.
So that was Close to Obsession. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys do want to play this for yourselves, the link to the game will be in the description below. We will be back once more if this game has been released, and so far, it's very promising. I was genuinely freaked on some of the moments, and this, I feel like it really does play out as like a mix between a slasher and a thriller, and I'm so curious to see like where exactly Hermit is going to be taking the story. And it really seems that like, yeah, although like Max is obsessed with us, there's more dangers in this town that we do not know about. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all have a lovely rest of the day, and as always, I'll be seeing you in the next video. This is Lion signing off. Ciao.